Okay, so I have um, the AP classroom stuff like up here. Okay, go away. But if you want to go over anything in particular, we can do that. Or if you have specific questions over the AP stuff, we can do that. So I am at your disposal. What y'all want to do?
Can we not do this question?
Yes, we cannot do this question because we've already done it and I took it off the test.
Oh. We also did that one.
A lot of people brought this up in a group today. What is RRR again?
It's the percent that you have to save from demand deposits.
From demand deposits. So when you're talking about 12% is RRR, it's not 12% of that number. It's 12% of this number. And if you're having to pull out your phone because you're like 12%, if you're like, this is hard math. No, it's not, because you're using the wrong numbers. 12% of 100,000 is 12,000. So 12,000 of that 15,000 is required, and the rest is extra excess reserves, which is why it says total reserves not required. Okay, so I'm gonna I'm gonna go here, and you tell me if you want to stop.
Wait, stop.
Stop. Okay. Banks create money by doing what? Okay. So transferring depositors' accounts at the Federal Reserve for conversion.
12,000. Sorry, my brain is slow.
That last question was like, it had total reserves, and then it says if the required reserves was 12%, how much can I loan out, basically? And people were like 12% of 15, because that was what said total reserves at 15. It's not 12% of 15; it's 12% deposits. So 12% of 100,000 is 12,000, and 15 is total. So in that number 15, 12 of that 15 is required. The other 3,000 was excess. You can loan that excess reserves.
Yes.
All right. Okay. This one. Do you remember what you guys put?
Yes.
It says banks create money by
Lending excess reserves.
That is how they loan out money. It's that fractional reserve banking. So Garrett deposits money in the bank, but I, the bank, can create money with that. I can give Anna a loan, who then deposits money, and then I can give whatever. I can exponentially give out loans times that money multiplier to have a really big impact.
Sorry.
Anna, recovery.
I was writing the question.
Okay. I thought you were gonna go grab a Chromebook.
I was. I just forgot. See, I'm tired. I just went to weight room. I'm not thinking properly.
Yeah, that is correct. Okay. Do you want to talk? Do you mean to go? You mean to go back to the other one?
Yeah. Just what was the answer?
E. Lending out excess reserves is how banks create money.
I'm just trying to think what I put, but I'll just log into
So if Garrett deposits money, he's technically allowing banks to create money. But if he withdraws money, he takes money out of his account, that takes money out of excess reserves, and that's destroying money. So the opposite of money creation is money destruction. So if you see that, don't be like, money destruction, that's silly. Miss Taylor, that's obviously not that one. No, that's just if someone took money out of the bank, there's less money for the bank to loan. So you're not creating money, you're destroying it. Acknowledge.
So the answer was E.
Yeah. Okay. The interest rate on short-term government bonds declined as a result of open market operations by the central bank. The central bank must have. What interest rate am I talking about?
Nominal interest rate.
Right. What graph am I talking about?
Money market.
Money market graph. We have nominal interest rates, quantity of money, money supply, and money demand. This right here is the nominal interest rate. This is also called the Fed funds rate. That interest rate is the Fed funds rate. What's the Fed funds rate?
Interest rate. The banks charge each other.
Yes, banks between each other. Their interbank lending. If there was a saying, and you're like, I'm looking for an interest rate between banks. Interbank lending means between banks. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes.
Now you do. Okay. Friend, yes. Instead of daddy discount, it's the federal friends rate. Okay, so this is saying that this interest rate declined. Which direction would money supply have to shift for it to decline?
To the left.
To the left? Yeah, let's look at interest rates declining.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, shoot is right. To the
Right.
To the right. Oh, poop
Oh.
head.
Oh. I see what happened.
Okay. Let's just trash that. Okay, so interest rates declined as a result of open market operations. So here's the interest rates declining because they did something with bonds. And I'm like, why is Miss Taylor shifting money supply? Bonds and discount rate and RRR are the things that shift money supply because these are the tools of monetary policy. The definition of monetary policy is how the Federal Reserve regulates money supply. That's money supply. They regulate it by doing this. Regulating means changing it, decreasing it or increasing it. So money supply shifting to the right, which is what brought down those interest rates. What did they do to increase money supply? Like, what do they do with bonds? Okay, what? They bought them. Okay. But Miss Taylor, hold on. Let's pretend this says it. Let's pretend this says decrease. If this says decreasing the discount rate, would that have been an acceptable answer? Careful. I'll give you a hint. No. Oh no.
That's why I'm here.
I know, and I love you. But what does this say? As a result of open market operations. Open market operations is OMO, which is bonds. The other tools cannot be an answer choice. Because that would be like saying, which changing of taxes is expansionary fiscal policy? And I say, more government spending. Like, that's expansionary fiscal policy, sure. But I said, like, which taxes? Oh, lower taxes would have been an answer. But, like, here I'm saying, which tool of, like, which bond is happening here? It's either going to be buying or selling. So all of this, like, changing the amount of circulation, supply of bonds, no, we need to look for buy or sell. So that narrows it down to A or B. I forgot. Did I tell you spring break?
Yes.
I did? Okay.
Oh yes.
Oh.
You didn't tell us that.
That spring break
The money
money market
go when it
graph.
buys and sells.
Yes. They.
So sell goes to the left, buy goes to the right. Spring break, if you do it backwards, it's BS.
Yes.
Can you
So,
explain that? Can you say
I will say that
so we
again.
didn't lost that? Yeah.
So what class did I tell? Fourth?
Fourth period.
Yes.
But not second? Okay. Already. Sorry. It really isn't that big of a deal. But it helps. So people know that buying and selling of bonds shifts money supply. They just forget the direction. Does buying bonds shift to the right or shift to the left? Or what does selling bonds do? I know they're the opposite, but which direction is it? Okay. So I love spring break. I love spring break. We read from left to right. Spring break. Selling bonds shifts money supply to the left. Buying bonds shifts money supply to the right. If you were to flip those two and buy go left and sell go right, then it would be BS, and that is wrong. So we want sell bonds, shift money supply to the left. Buy bonds, shift money supply to the right.
So SB, not BS.
Correct. SB, not BS. Okay.
Why is buying increasing supply?
Of money?
Yeah, because when you're giving away money with bonds.
Yes. Who are they buying bonds? Hold on.
Just seeing what we're learning.
Monetary policy.
Good old monetary policy.
Yes. Your bank. That's in your asset side of your bank balance sheet because it's a bond. Bonds go to asset side. I see that you have no excess reserves over there. You should loan them out to Anna, but you can't because you can't loan out a bond because bonds aren't money because it's not an M1, M2, or M3. A bond is not a store of value, a medium of account, or a unit of exchange, which means it's not money. But I, Jerome Powell, hello, I would love to buy that from you, bank. Hey, commercial bank who has a bank balance sheet, I buy the bond from you, I give you money, this goes into excess reserves, and now you can loan it out at a money multiplier. Does that make sense? Selling bonds is stop. I take money out of your excess reserves, I give you bond, you can't loan out a bond because bonds aren't money. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is my favorite unit. You might disagree. I love when it all like goes together. It's typically no one's favorite. Okay. Oh, I wish I could like increase the size of the font. Hold on.
Doesn't matter.
What? I didn't know this was a possibility. Okay. An open market operation by a country's central bank to reduce unemployment would be. Okay, what's the problem in the economy?
Unemployment.
So we are in a
Recession.
we're in a recession. In a recession, what do you want to do? Do you want to expand or do you want to contract? You want to do expansionary monetary policy, which means you do what with bonds?
Buy them back.
Buy bonds. What do you do with a discount rate to expand the economy? Lower it because interest rate, that's an interest rate. So you want to lower interest rates to expand the economy because you can take on more loans. What about the required reserve ratio? What do you want to do?
You want it to fall.
Yeah, I started drawing the arrow before I asked you. You want RRR to lower down because if you think of a bank balance sheet, JC, I need to think of a bank balance sheet. If we have like 20% in RRR, only at 80% it's in the excess reserves, right? But if I make this lower, now only keep 10% in RRR. What happens to excess reserves? Does it go up or down?
Is that
Which means you can loan out more or less.
more?
And wouldn't that be expansionary? It makes sense. So, which one of these answer choices is telling me that we're doing expansionary monetary policy?
E.
The one that you can't see?
Yes.
Cool. Buying bonds to decrease the interest rate. What interest rate am I referring to? The discount.
It's federal.
The federal funds rate or the nominal interest rate. Both of those are the same answers. And lowering the interest rate increases aggregate demand because it makes loans cheaper and people will take out more loans. Okay. Test taking strategy. I don't know monetary policy. Increasing the interest. Wait, no, that actually makes sense. I thought that said increase. Shoot. Aha! I don't know monetary policy. Increasing the interest rate increases investment spending? No, doesn't matter what that says. That could say whatever. That is wrong because that combo doesn't make sense. Same thing here. Decreasing the interest rate to decrease aggregate demand. Loans are cheaper, so people spend less. No. So make sure that your combos of relationships go together. Relationships should make sense. So don't get too bogged down about just cross out things that just don't make sense. If the central bank buys government bonds from individuals on the open market and banks do not loan out any excess reserves created by open market operations, what will happen? You remember doing this one in class? Like what you put?
I remember what I put.
I skipped this one.
Okay, what'd you put?
Well, since they're buying back bonds, they're giving money to people so that money supply would increase.
Okay.
But then
Buying is contraction here. Am I wrong?
Selling
Yes.
is contractionary.
Okay. I think the reason that you are messing up is because you think that banks do monetary policy when they don't. The central bank, the Federal Reserve, does monetary policy. So it's from their point of view. It's not whether you're buying or selling bonds. It's whether Jerome Powell and the FOMC is buying and selling bonds. You don't do monetary policy, they do. So it's got to be from their point of view. Garrett, give me some acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll figure it out by tomorrow.
We just did it. I buy bonds from you. What do you get?
Money.
To loan out.
But
Yeah.
they're not loaning it out.
But they're not loaning it out. So, like I said, I buy a bond from you, bond. I give you money. But you, no, sorry, I didn't mean to throw it at you. But you don't loan it out. This is money in circulation, and you're not loaning it out. So would money supply increase if they aren't loaning it out?
No.
No. It's stuck in the bank. Its money supply should remain unchanged.
I did not read the entire
Does
question.
it say they don't loan it out?
Yes, you can't see it anymore because I scrolled up, but it says they do not loan out any excess reserves
Oh, okay.
created by that open market purchase.
It said the answer was will increase. Money supply will increase.
What?
On the
Yeah,
year.
what the heck? What was it supposed to be?
Unchanged.
I put that.
But why is College Board?
They're setting us up to fail.
Nope. Nope.
They buy government
Yeah.
yeah, increases money supply. If they buy government
It should
bonds.
increase the supply of loanable funds, but if they don't loan it out, it's not in circulation.
That's what I Did you teach us something wrong?
Uh-oh.
I forgot something. Don't give me that look. I'm human too. Mrs. I don't understand anything. Just kidding. I love you.
I don't really understand anything.
I know.
Oh my god.
You're drawing a circle.
Garrett, she's drawing MBMS.
Right. M1, basically savings. Long-term savings. CDs.
Yeah. Cash, coins, checks, traveler's checks, checking accounts, money in the vault.
Woo!
It is increase.
Explain.
You gotta.
Oh,
Clearly, M1 includes the monetary base. So in this circle is a smaller circle, and that's MB, monetary base, which is cash and coins in circulation and in bank vaults.
That's cool.
And so because there's more money in bank vaults, it doesn't matter. Oh, you son of a poop. It doesn't matter that Garrett doesn't loan it out. It's in the vault. In the vault is MB, and MB is in M1, and M1 is money supply, so technically it went up.
So circulation wouldn't change, but the supply itself would.
Yes.
So if it said in circulation, it would be remain unchanged? Or would it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, maybe Unit 6 isn't my favorite unit.
Well, because it has bank balance sheets. Bank sheets.
No, I don't like bank balance sheets, but it really helps the picture of like monetary policy and like it ties everything together. I just hate that it ties it together with a stupid math bow. Like why can't it tie it together with a pretty graph instead? But no. Okay, sorry I made a mistake, kids. That's what you get when your parents pay little property taxes. You can only afford certain teachers, and you got me. All right, so let me get rid of you. You're small, and I'm gonna hide you. Okay. It says the purchase, another purchase of bonds. Purchase of bonds by the Federal Reserve. Ooh, okay, this is not bad. Will have the greatest effect on real GDP if which of the following situations exist in the economy. So we're looking for
This was a difficult question.
greatest effect on GDP, and they are purchasing bonds. Purchasing bonds is what type of policy? Don't say monetary clearly. What type of direction? It's expansionary monetary policy, which will do what to GDP?
Raise it.
It will raise it because it shifts money supply to the right, which lowers interest rates, and lower interest rates increases aggregate demand, and aggregate demand increases GDP. Okay. So your answer needs to agree with an expansionary monetary policy that increases aggregate demand and GDP. It cannot be something that counteracts it. It can't be a one step forward, one step back. It's got to all be in the same direction. So we're looking for what? More expansionary tools or more contractionary tools?
Expansion.
More expansionary tools because we're looking for them to have the greatest impact. Okay, so on A, the RRR is high. Yay or nay? Nay, that's contractionary. That'd be one step forward of aggregate demand and one step back. Not great impact. So B is also wrong. What about C? RR is low.
Good.
Good. And the interest rate has a large impact on investment spending?
Good.
Yeah. But because, I know it's a time test, but because you're smart, you were all going to read all of your answer choices. Yes. RR is low. Okay, if it was good here, it's good here. And the MPC is low. Ooh. What does MPC mean?
Marginal propensity to consume.
Yeah, but like, what does that mean?
How likely people are to buy.
And they're not likely to buy. It's low. So like aggregate demand is going to shift just not very much. It would shift left because this is expansionary. It would shift left by a little amount. No, frick, it'll shift right by a little amount.
Well, if people aren't wanting to consume, wouldn't they not be buying, so the demand wouldn't go right?
No, it's just okay. MPC is low, let's say 0.1. Nope, that's bad math.
Please don't do that.
0.8. That NPS is going to be 0.2. So the spending multiplier is going to be 5, which is still a multiplied amount, just not as multiplied as it could have been with a bigger NPC. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds right.
I don't know. MPC is high. Okay, people are spending lots of money. But the interest rate has a small impact. And we're looking for greatest impact, so it's going to be C. And only C. D's close. But that whole thing of people not spending is not going to have a good, big impact on GDP. Okay. I feel like we need to get to an FRQ.
No, please don't go to number 9.
Not number 9?
Because that's the FRQ.
Oh, well, how about number 8 instead?
Yeah.
Okay, we did this in a couple of groups, but not all the groups, and I want to make sure that we hit this for everybody. The RRR is 0.2. The Federal Reserve sells $1 million in securities. There are no leakages, and banks do not hold excess reserves. Then which the following is in the change of money supply? Okay, are we using an equation?
Yes.
Which?
Change in money supply.
Yeah. Change in money supply is equal to what?
Excess reserves times.
Money multiply.
Where M is equal to?
1 over
Which is equal to 5 because it's going to be 1 over 0.2. It literally says it right there. 1 over 0.2, which is 5. So something times 5. The question is, what's times 5?
-1 million.
Why negative?
Because they're selling securities.
And selling securities, selling bonds is contractionary. Contractionary decreases money supply. If it was buying, then it would be +1. But it's selling, and selling, Garrett, is contractionary monetary policy. And so -1 million times 5 is decrease of 5 million. Okay, I want to talk about this one. I thought we had to take like 20% out. I thought we only like put 80% in excess reserves.
It's a bond.
It's a bond. What is the RRR definition?
Required reserve ratio.
That's it spelled out. The definition, though, percentage of deposits. Is a bond a deposit?
No.
No. So you do not need to take out a percent of a bond because you'll only take out a percent of deposit. If it was like Kelsey deposits $1 million, then you would take out 20% of that. I mean, that would be nice. If you would take out 20% of it, you throw it into required reserves, and 80% of that $1 million, $800,000, would then go into excess reserves. And that's why we have. Oh, I guess. Okay. I'm actually really surprised that they don't have like a 4.8 option.
Bonds are securities and open market operations.
Yes. And
Anything
if
else? Any other names?
any other names for bonds?
I mean, 4 million.
Yeah, but it'd be like 4.8 million because it would be like No, it'd be 4 million.
Yeah,
I'm done.
20%.
Yeah. I don't know why that 0.8 went in there. I'm bad at math. Anna? Doubt they would call it this, but a bond is essentially a loan to an entity, to like a government. So it says something about government loans through bonds.
So they just say government loans and move on.
Yeah. Like, you know how we borrow money from China?
Yeah.
We don't borrow money from China by going to China's bank and taking out a loan. We sell the Chinese government US bonds. They buy bonds just like the Federal Reserve buys and sells bonds. So we'll pay them back in 30 years with interest. That's how we're taking out a loan, because we're selling them a bond and we'll say we'll pay you back with interest. I mean, that's a loan, but it's just not through a bank, it's a bond. So that's what our national debt is all the money that we owe through bonds. However much money that is. A lot. Okay. So not 9, but he left, so maybe 9.
I think I just didn't even look at this.
Okay, you wanna get whiteboards, or do you wanna grab markers and stuff?
I'm gonna write it on paper.
You may write it on paper.
I'll do it too.
Okay, tomorrow you will have an option of FRQ.
Just one.
2, you pick your favorite. Because there's 27 or 28, I couldn't remember. I was stuck between, like, do I take one more off or do I add one more? 27 or 28 multiple choice questions, and then you have one FRQ, either about bank balance sheets or something, aggregate supply and demand, something, they do monetary policy, you probably have to draw a money market graph, something, how does that affect currency? So,
Wait, is that not just a big
Where are the 2 options? This and.
okay, so there's bank balance sheets,
Uh-huh.
and then the other FRQ that you can do is a longer FRQ. Aggregate supply and demand, you'll be graphing. Something's wrong, you'll have to fix it with monetary policy with a money market graph. And then something like higher interest rates on money market graph is like, ooh, I wanna save my money there, or maybe there's lower interest rates and I don't wanna save my money there, so what happens to the value of the currency? Does it appreciate
I
or
think we should go
depreciate?
for number 9.
Okay, let's go over number 9. Okay, the simplified T balance. I'm just going to read some stuff. I know that you're still working on it. I'm just going to read it to you. For a Zenith bank in the country of Everland is shown below. Assume that the reserve requirement in Everland is 20%. 20% of what? 200 million. Okay, so ours is 20%. Let's do A and B, and then we can scroll down. But let's just do A and B. Calculate the maximum amount at which Zenith Bank can increase its loans, and then B, based on your answer in part A, calculate the maximum possible increase in Everland's money supply.
What's our?
It is provided right there. 20%.
Their net worth isn't
That's
0.
No, it isn't, is it?
What do we do with that?
Nothing. You didn't have to do that. It just means that the asset side is going to be $40 million more than the liability side, which it is, right? How are we doing on part A and B? Asa, how are we doing?
I'm just starting it,
Okay.
but it makes sense.
Where's your brother?
Oh, he's at UIL.
Okay, because he usually comes tutoring. This is the first tutoring he hasn't been to.
Do you even care about net worth anymore? Do you have to get back to zero?
No.
That's fine.
I don't know how to calculate the maximum.
It's whatever, wait, with what? A or B?
A.
It's, remember, you can only loan out what's in excess reserves. So you are solving for how much money is in excess reserves. You guys let me know when we're done with A and B.
I'm done.
I'm starting to get it, but not that much.
Okay, that's good. I just don't want to hear, I'm more confused, because that's scary.
Well, I'm not taking it tomorrow, so.
That's right.
I have the weekend to study.
Please do.
Oh, I will.
Now, some people are like, oh, I don't take it, and then they like forget. They like, oh, I plan on studying, and then they don't, and then they do worse, I think. So, Annie, you done?
Getting confused.
Okay. Does it says $80 million in reserves. Does that say required reserves? It's just reserves. So that 80 million has required reserves in it. It also has excess reserves in it. What percentage of required reserves are we talking about in this problem? 20%. 20% of what?
200 million.
200 million. What is 10% of 200 million?
20 million.
So what's 20% of 200 million?
40.
40 million. So of those reserves, which is 80 million, 40 million of it is required. The other amount is excess. So how much is in excess reserves? Right, because required reserves is 40 and it's 80 is total. The required reserves is 40. The rest of it, which is also 40, is excess. So how much can they loan out on A? 40 million.
I got 8 right. I just got confused.
Okay, what's the equation for money supply?
Money supply equals excess reserves times.
What is M if the RR is 20%?
5.
5 times what? 40.
So 200.
$200 million.
And isn't that already the money supply though? Because
Isn't already that money supply? Okay, no, I loan out 40 to, I don't know, to you. But then you then deposit it in an account, and then that bank loans it out to Kelsey, who then deposits into an account. And then like JC takes a loan out from that bank, and it has a multiplied effect down the line to where that 40 million loan really created $20 million worth of money supply of how many people that touched eventually.
There you go.
No, don't do that. Don't patronize me. Where's my thing? Money. $40 million loan. Pretend that's 40 million. But you are going to then deposit it. Okay, I gave it to you, and you're going to deposit it in your bank. Your bank's going to keep some of it, and then loan out more to Kelsey. Is that you? That's you have $100 million in the bank, right? Or you have 40 million in the bank, right? You have access to that. But then you deposit it into some bank, and then that bank then loans it out to Kelsey. And she's gonna deposit, but she still has this. This is still hers. She's just depositing her account. And she's gonna deposit in the bank. and the bank's gonna take some of it, $10 or something. And then like loan the rest out. You have money, and you have money, all from your one loan. That's how modern banking is done. If y'all all ran to the bank at the same time to withdraw your money, then we are not in good, we're not good.
Like Great Depression.
Yeah. So this only works if like everyone's chill and calms down and like takes their money and not all run to the bank. That's why bank runs are so devastating, because I don't actually have 40 million plus whatever million you had plus whatever million you had at the bank. In fact, I probably have very little excess reserves because I just loaned it all out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Money. Okay. Let's do CD. Okay, so the answer was 40 and 200, but I'm erasing it because, well, I need to see. It was still 20%. So C, identify one reason that Everland's money supply may expand by a smaller amount that you identified in part B. And then D, assume that the Central Bank of Everland purchased $10 million of government securities from the public. If the public deposits $10 million in Zenith Bank, how much will Zenith Bank's required reserves change as a result of the new deposit? And E, what will happen to the price of bonds as a result of the central bank's purchase of government securities described in Part D? We kind of did something like C the other day.
Yeah. And D.
And D, but D was in a quiz question, but like C was in a practice FRQ that we did.
You need 85 to exempt.
85 semester average. Not just 6 weeks average or 9 weeks average, semester average. Hey, if you work on this FRQ, you'll get closer to the 85.
Oh, no, I'm not worried about this.
Oh.
Well, as
Like
of
how
right now, maybe when I get my test back, I'm about to.
We still have that AP mock exam. Remember, it's partner.
Yeah. Oh,
The mock exam is
Don't
partner.
And you don't get to choose your partner.
Why would you don't get it?
The first person gets to choose their partner.
The first person
Oh, I
gets to choose
do
their partner.
Oh.
And if we have an odd number of people, then the
Like,
last person
how does
chooses
that
their
work?
group. Like names out of a hat type
Oh,
style.
so then like, so
So
I'm
you can't
first,
really
then I
go
can pick.
Whoever.
And then the second person.
Then the second and third person, and then fourth and fifth, they pair up.
how do you know, how do you know who gets to draw first?
What do you mean who gets to draw
Just
first?
use your class.
I
Oh,
draw.
you draw.
Oh no.
It's not a physical hat. It's a wheel that I make on the internet.
I made it.
Oh, those are dumb.
Hooray.
My house is meeting ended early.
Oh, so then it's even more stressful because you can see everyone's name spinning around.
And it's like,
What if I get paired to someone who doesn't like me?
What if? or
Stacey,
somebody
that happens in life. You might get paired at work with someone that you don't like, and you're gonna have to learn to work with them for 2 days. It'll be
else?
okay.
2 days.
Yes.
Before you quit, go find a new
What if I
job.
purposely?
Yeah.
What if I purposely failed them? Like I'm like, oh yeah, that's the answer, and then I.
Oh, I didn't tell you. Y'all are turning in one Scantron between the two of you.
What?
So you'll have to like.
Okay, so you
You'll
actually
have to work together.
So we have our tests tomorrow, and then we learn a little bit of new stuff, and then that's it.
No. Then we learn a little bit of new stuff, and then we review for 7 days straight. Not 7. Yeah.
How are you
4,
gonna
5, 7.
And
1, 2,
then
3,
it's
4,
our
5,
mock
6.
test with a partner that we don't get to choose unless you're the first person.
Mhm.
And
First
then
person.
it's
And then
It's
it's-
so stressful.
And then we have 1 day of going over the mock, and then a CAP exam.
Why does the first person get to choose?
Because yeah,
I got that idea from Mr. Taylor.
elaborate on first person.
Okay, tell me more. I have a question.
I rank everybody how much I like them, and then whoever's at the top.
I got number one. Y'all
We
don't,
know
y'all
who's
don't
gonna
have
be at the bottom
to.
of our
I don't know. I love all my students equally.
Sure. Pause it real quick.
No,
that corner.
I love all my students equally. No, it's spring break, not BS. It is.
That passed already.
All right, kids.
She
How we
doesn't know
feeling?
the terms.
Oh yeah, because
So we have
She
two
was in
major-
second period, so she doesn't get what you just said.
Hold on, we have two
Oh,
major
that's
grades left.
What?
So, when the Federal Reserve buys bonds, which direction do you shift money supply?
Don't ask me that.
Okay, but you can tell me I don't know right now.
I don't know.
Okay, so here's how you know.
Don't judge me, people.
Here's how you know.
Okay.
You know what I love? I love spring break. You know what I don't love? I don't love BS.
Okay.
So spring, S, sell. Break, buy. Spring, break. Sell bonds, shift money supply to the left. Buy bonds, shift money supply to the right. Spring break, sell, buy. But if you flip it and you go over here for buy, you go left for buy, that's BS.
Right.
Yes. So selling bonds shifts money supply to the left, spring, and then
Oh.
increasing money supply buying bonds increases money supply to the right, break. Spring to the left, break to the right. Spring break, sell, buy bonds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't need to flip it, right? It's just SB, not
Yes.
BS.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I thought you were gonna tell me to flip it. I was
If
like,
you flip
okay.
it, it's BS and you will fail.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
Good.
Question? Are we ready for 3? C? I mean, who put C? Who wants to tell me what they put for C?
If they loan out less than 40 million.
If they loan out 40 million, then we'll have a $200 million change. But if they loan out 39 million, then it's going to be less. If they loan out less than their excess reserves, if they don't loan it all out. Okay. On D, it says that the government is purchasing 100 million of bonds from the public, and then the public then deposits that 100 million in the bank. How much will Zenith's required reserves change based on the new deposit? They're not saying required reserve ratio. They're just saying required reserves. The ratio is still 20%. Okay? But if they put, anyone want to tell me what they put?
Increased by 4 million.
I put 2 million.
What you put?
I put 2.
4 million, because it's 10 in securities and then it's 10 just deposited into it.
I got 40.
Oh, see, here's the thing. That's the same purchase.
42 million.
I buy bonds from you for 10 million. You take that 10 million and you deposit it. That's not 20 there. That's the same 10 said twice. And so it's $10 million in deposits, 20 of which goes into require, the other 8 goes into excess. So it goes up by 2 million. Good?
Because the RR
So wait.
is 20%.
Yes. And so it's 20% of 10, which is 2.
If I were to put, because I put 42 million,
I did
would
the
that
same
technically, because that's how much would be in the required reserves,
I
right?
understand. But look at the last bit here. Change as a result of the new deposit.
So you do it based off the new deposit, not the entire.
See, I'm a person that hates getting things wrong for something as stupid as that. Something is like, oh, that's what you were looking for. So here's how I would write it. Excess reserves was 40 million. Excess reserves is now 42 million because of the deposit. That's a change of $2 million. I would say everything. I'd say what it was. I'd say what it is now. I'd say the change.
Okay. So it's now.
It's like trying to count me wrong after I say all of those things.
50-50 shot, roll the
It'd be
dice.
No.
It'd be required reserves, right? Not excess.
Yes, because it says
Okay.
how much will the required reserves change based on the new deposit.
So it's now 42 million, which means it changed by 2 million.
Yes,
So
that's
it's
what
like-
I would say.
Or do 50-50 and roll the dice. Like yours.
See, when it comes to like
I like
acceptance
passing.
into college and things like that,
Oh, there's the camera.
there's a camera. I can't
I
remember.
was looking for it.
And last but not least, what happens to the price of bonds as a result of the central bank's purchase? Because look, they purchased bonds. So what type of policy did they just do?
Expansionary.
Expansionary monetary policy.
Oh, Lord.
Buying bonds just money supply to the
Right.
which makes interest rates go,
Down.
and the price of bonds are now gonna go up because they're inversely related.
Yeah, I know.
Asa,
See, so it's saying that the bank purchases $10 million worth of bonds.
from the public, not from the bank. Yes,
So their ER would go up by 10 million. And then the public deposits 10 million.
wait, why would the ER go up by, no,
Because they're buying low.
they're not saying that, they're not saying they're buying bonds from the Zenith Bank, they're buying bonds from the public, from direct to people, which they can do. We've always been doing them with the bank, because most questions are bank, but they can buy them from the public, and then the public is taking that money that they got and depositing it. So some questions will be, they will buy bonds from the bank, and all of that money will go directly into excess reserves. But what's happening here is the buying of bonds is happening outside the bank, but customers of that bank are then taking that money that they got and depositing it into their bank. Do you see how that's a difference?
Yes.
Because that now just becomes a deposit, and deposit you do need to take excess or required reserves out. But if they were just buying bonds from directly from the bank, there would be no change in required reserves because it's not a deposit, it's a bond purchase. But here they are depositing it because there's like a secondary effect happening.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Sometimes I talk too much, I forget to.
the price of bonds increases because it's expansionary, which makes the interest rates go up,
Down. Money
Makes it go
supply goes
down.
up.
makes interest rates go down, and they're inversely related, so it's,
So interest rates and bonds are
Is
inversely.
there a graph for bonds? That thing?
No. I mean, I'm sure there is.
So
Not in here.
always
Yeah.
when an interest rate decreases, a bond will increase.
The price of a bond will increase, yes.
If what?
If interest rates are going one way, bond prices are always going the other way.
See, I was confused though because on one of the quizzes, I thought there was a question about interest rates and bonds.
And price level. Question 4.
But I thought for that question they were both increasing.
They were both increasing, yes. Because it says something, they're buying bonds, expansionary monetary policy, what happens to the price of bonds and price level. Price of bonds was going up because the interest rates were going down because they were buying bonds, which increases money supply, and interest rates fall. Price of bonds are gonna go up. But if they're, okay, did you say it? You want me to say that again?
Yeah.
Okay, so buying bonds, just money supply to the right. Money supply goes right, interest rates fall.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes.
If interest rates are falling, price of bonds are going up because they're inversely related. So price of bonds are going up. Yes? Good?
Yes.
Okay, check. The next part of it was like, what happens to price level? Price level is talking about what graph?
Aggregate supply.
Yes. What's the relationship between these lower interest rates and aggregate supply and demand? Low interest rates just what? Aggregate demand. Same thing as GDP. Because if loans are cheaper, because interest rates are falling, you can take out more loans and more like spending, and aggregate demand shifts to the right. If aggregate demand shifts to the right, what happens to the price level?
Goes up.
Up. So that's why they both went up in that problem. It was two
Okay,
separate
so it was asking about
questions.
price level in bonds, not interest rates in bonds.
That is correct. The question was talking about interest rates, but the scenario was talking about interest rates, but the question it was asking you were what happens to the price of bonds, what happens to the price level.
Oh.
But also like price level is the price of everything. So the price is going up when bonds go up too. So they're gonna go in the same direction.
So you can think of it like that. Like I put bonds going up and the price levels going up.
Probably. In this class, yes. Is there some sort of like scenario in like graduate school that I haven't like seen yet? Maybe. But as far as I know, as far as you need to know, they're gonna go together. Thanks, Deborah. Okay,
Thanks.
don't be a turd. Okay,
I wasn't.
I thought she was being nice.
I know, but just
It was half-hearted things.
It was Kaylee.
It was more like she was repeating you. So just
I
Yes.
said thanks.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. Oh, calm down. In the short run, a tight monetary policy tends to cause. What is tight monetary policy?
Oh,
Contractionary. What's the synonym for expansionary?
Easy.
Easy. Okay, so easy money policy is expansionary. Tight money policy is contractionary. I know. It's not. It's tight and easy.
I'll say it again, what did you say?
The synonyms are tight and easy.
Oh, okay.
synonyms?
No, antonyms.
Okay.
Well, the synonyms for expansionary,
So
contractionary are tight and loose, but they are antonyms of each other.
Okay.
Why?
Easy is expansionary,
Okay,
right?
what?
Easy money is expansionary.
Easy is expansionary.
Like to ease.
To ease, yes.
Ease.
Money is easily flowing. It's easy to get.
Just match the E with the E. Expansionary easy.
That's
Oh.
what I said.
Oh, I
To ease.
Come on now.
To ease. I thought you meant like ease.
No, like
To ease.
like the
Because
letter
it's easy.
Apostrophe S.
Okay, so tight money policy tends to cause. So contractionary monetary policy causes what?
An increase of interest rates.
Okay, so we can get rid of
All
Decreases.
all the decreases. So we're left to C, D, and E.
And if interest rates go up, people aren't going to invest.
So wait, why are we left with C?
Because that doesn't say a decrease
Oh,
in
never mind,
interest
never
rates, it
mind,
says a decrease in prices. If it's contractionary, do you think it's going to expand spending or contract spending? Okay, so it's going to increase interest rates and slow down business spending. Yeah, if it did the opposite, it would be very good contractionary policy if the answer had you have more spending.
We don't have the other interest rate during this test.
Because
The one where high interest rates make you more money.
high interest rates equals less
Is that on this
spending.
test?
What
Depending on the FRQ that you take.
Okay,
write
is
it?
I'm going with the bank balance one. So is it on that
Oh,
one?
definitely not.
Don't you write it?
Yeah, but you pick. Tomorrow you're going to pick between two.
Wait, you don't just
Well,
look up
Monday.
FRQs and just pick them? Like you make it?
One of them I made, because there's only so many bank balance sheet FRQs out there. Like we've done 3.
That means Google.
There's only like 4 out there. So the bank balance sheet tomorrow it's the Bank of Taylor.
Okay.
And the person who like does things is Jack, which is my dog.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not something that you can Google because I made it up. I took bits and pieces.
You wanna bet?
So spending correlates with interest rates. So it's like, it's an expansionary monetary policy. There's decreased interest rates, therefore people are going to spend more.
Well, more money supply, if there's more money supplied, there can be more spending. More money out there, more spending. Less money out there, less spending. The key is interest rates, but like more money, more spending. More money, more problems as well. That's what I say. All right, y'all are too young.
Okay.
Do you want to do this long one?
Not
Honestly,
particularly.
yes.
No.
We already just.
Wait,
this
is
my
it the
study.
graph? Is it like the graph one?
Which?
Then
I
yeah.
just said.
That way I can pick between 2 now. 4 more.
No, actually, can you just go over it like without us doing it?
Yeah, just like
Like, do you want me to do it?
Yeah, if we're gonna do it, do it.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna do it over here where there's room.
AI. Okay. Smart yourselves.
Start
I
for
ran
$5 a piece of paper.
Because I don't run out after 5 minutes.
Inflation nowadays.
I'm telling you, inflation. The inflation numbers just came out yesterday or last night or this morning, one of the two. It was in today's paper. This what?
You cracked me up with that. You read the paper.
I read the titles.
Oh.
My husband reads the paper. What the heck? Where are my things?
That's so niche of him.
Niche?
Yeah.
I thought it was like niche or like niche.
It's niche.
I've only ever heard it pronounced niche.
I think it's like a southern thing to say niche, but I
Never
think it's
heard
Like my
it's
biology
That's
teacher
niche.
says niche.
it's like tomato.
Okay.
But I think more
Never
people.
heard them say
Well, either way,
niche.
I'm not wrong. So
You're not wrong. You're
You
not
sound
popular in the in the way you say it. But you're
I'm
not wrong.
popular period.
Oh
so.
no. Okay. Oh wait, what's wrong? There we go. You always read the top of the FRQ. What I did was a mistake that y'all make all the time. Y'all go straight to A and you're like, draw an aggregate supply and demand graph. All right. Without reading like, the economy is currently in equilibrium. Okay, because it could start off. I get it, but you could get everything wrong if it said you're starting from a recession, and then you're gonna get everything wrong.
It's in equilibrium
Yes.
though.
Okay, draw an aggregate supply and demand graph showing each of the following output level and price level. Price level.
Okay.
Okay. B. Japan is a major importer of U.S. products. Assume that the Japanese economy is in a recession. Oh no. So they are poor. You know what poor people don't do? Live long. No. That's also true. They don't live long. But they also don't buy things. They are poor. Explain the impact of the Japanese recession on the U.S. equilibrium output and price levels. Show these effects on your graph in part A. Okay, so like refer to above. If they don't buy our stuff because they're going through a recession, which one's going to shift?
Aggregate demand.
To the few. Because less than
Thank
exports.
God.
Lower prices, lower GDP. All right. C. Assume that the Federal Reserve takes action to curb the effects. Okay, what does that mean? Curb the effects of the Japanese recession?
Go get
Yeah.
No, they're in monetary policy.
Yeah.
No,
They are going to do something to stop the problem. They're going to try to fix it. They're going to curb the effects, which means they're going to try to fix it. Okay, so they're trying to. Oh no! What type of problem do we have? Recession. So on I, it says, what open market operation would the Federal Reserve undertake? What are they talking about?
Buying bonds.
Buying bonds. If I had said lowering the discount rate, is that right?
No.
But that's expansionary.
Open market operation.
Ah, okay. It says open market operation. Also, by the way, you can't just say expansionary monetary policy. There's being specific. Be as specific as you can. Don't just be like expansionary. No, you say buy bonds. Double I. Use a correctly labeled graph of the money market to show how the Federal Reserve policy will affect the nominal interest rate. Oh, under stress, I sometimes forget how to graph everything. But look, it says show the effect on the nominal interest rate. Oh, that's the y-axis. So at least I've got that point, right? Nominal interest rate, quantity of money, money supply, and money demand. Buying bonds does what to our graph?
Shift money supply, right?
That is correct. Are we shifting money demand at all on this test?
No.
No, we're not. Don't you dare touch it. Money supply to the right makes us have lower interest rates and a higher quantity of money in circulation.
will we shift money demand?
Eventually.
What we do with discount rates?
No.
Or is it always bonds?
It's going to be majority bond questions because that is the primary monetary policy tool
Or even discount rates just a loan
Well,
from
they
the bank,
from the Fed.
from the Fed?
And since no one ever really takes that loan from the Fed because they're like daddy bank, that's what changing the discount rate would be like. It's like changing the speed limit on a road no one drives. It's like, wow, you've accomplished nothing. No
So
one
if it
drives
didn't
there.
say open market policy,
Then you could pick any of the tools. You could say like lower, don't say taxes. I almost said taxes. You could say lower discount rate, lower RR, or buy bonds. Okay. Triple I. Explain how the change in the nominal interest rate in part C double I will affect aggregate demand, price level, and real output. It says explain, not graph, so I have to actually write it out. So, low interest rates make loans cheap. Aggregate demand, price level, GDP. Aggregate demand increase and PL increases and GDP increases because more spend. Big. define the real interest rate.
Just
Wait, hey.
Is it okay, like on the test, if we abbreviate like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If I do it, you can do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Will they accept that on the AP test if we write?
The only thing that they're not going to accept is if you
Arrows.
say like my boops are lower. Boops is a Taylorism. Don't say boops. You can say equilibriums. Don't say boops. Also, don't say. That's it. I think
Is
that's
it
it.
better to write it out, or could, if we're in a hurry, could we put like 80 arrow?
Oh, you can write like you can literally like this would be an accepted answer.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of erase calculus, you can do it so.
Oh yeah, like they just like tell us answers here. Define real interest rate. Yes, it is. Yay. D, adjusted for inflation. So the real interest rate means adjusted for inflation. Okay. Okay. Is that it? Is that the end? Okay. No, but that is after E. Is that it?
Yes.
Oh my God! Stop. Okay. Indicate the effect of the open market operation that you identified in Part C, I, on the real interest rate in the United States. So it just says like what happened to the real interest rate in the United States. It goes down. Real interest rates go down. How are we doing?
Okay, I just have a question about B. So the Japanese economy going into recession, how does that impact the U.S.?
They buy less of our stuff because they can't. And therefore our net exports are going to fall because we are going to be exporting less stuff. Okay. Oh crap, buckets. I leave in 5 minutes. What are your last comments, thoughts? Okay, big things that always people forget about. They know their bank balance sheets because they're like, they don't know them in class, so they study hardcore on bank balance sheets. Same thing with money market and tools of monetary policy. And they forget the little stuff. They forget M's, and they forget the functions of money. Store of value, unit of account, unit of exchange, M1, M2, M3. Like they forget those because they're all like, and then they get to the test and it's like silly things like that. That's just like a definition thing that people forget because they're focused on like the big concepts and forgetting silly things like asset demand and transaction demand. If that's an answer choice, you put it.
Okay.
Okay?
if that's an extra twist, you put it. What you're saying.
Yes.
So if I get it wrong, and I'll show you.
The only question that has that as an answer choice is the question asking about that.
So
Why is money
asset
demand downward sloping? Because of asset demand and transaction demand.
Asset demand transaction theorem. Well, if it says that, okay.
Okay,
I'm not
please
even gonna
do.
read the question.
I thought you were about to put a heart, but it turned into an S for sucks.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Ouch. Asset demand and
Ouch.
transaction demand are the reasons that money demand is downward sloping.
Okay.
And that's the answer.
Gosh,
We
my
didn't
brain
have to
doesn't
know
work
the
like
shifters of
this.
Money demand, right?
No. Because you don't touch them. Can I tell you what they are
No.
Yeah.
Not
I heard you say
What?
what
How
it
right
was.
now? Can you do it after
That's always
tomorrow?
distracted me and confused me.
though? Okay, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, but the shifters of
That's their.
money supply shifters are.
What?
Just pick
Did
asset.
you just ask what the shifters of money supply are? The buying and selling of bonds.
Oh,
The
I know.
increasing
I
and
was
decreasing of
gonna say
discount rates. The increasing and decreasing of RRR.
The discount rate.
Should have taken regular.
No.
Can we?
No.
Oh, I thought you meant I should have.
No. No, oh, that would have been so insulting
She's
to me.
like,
I would never
"Dude."
say that. I make fun of you, but I don't say things like
everything else, but you.
Wait, what about the?
That's where you draw the line?
that's where I draw the line.
That's where you draw. Okay, well you can say it's me.
Do you know the answers to the last four? Because I never looked at those.
Okay.
I just want them for like reference.
Hold on.
Ooh, yeah.
Bank has no excess reserves. The RR is 10%. The value of new loans a single bank can issue to a new customer deposits $10,000. If they deposit $10,000, they have to keep 10% in the bank at all times. That's $1,000. They can loan out the rest, which is $9,000. D, $9,000. Which the following would decrease the nation's money supply. So we're looking for contractionary monetary policy, selling bonds, raising the discount rate, raising the RRR. That's fiscal policy. That's expansionary. Open market purchase. That's expansionary. Ooh, that's contractionary, but I'm going to keep on reading. Increase government spending. That's fiscal policy. D, an increase to the reserve requirements. 14. Oh God. So oh God.
That's the question that made me.
That was your breaking point.
E.
Okay.
E.
Why?
Oh man. Okay, fine.
Because it's a nice.
Are you gonna tell me the answer on the test?
No. Okay.
Makes a lot of sense.
Suppose the central bank wants to buy $100 worth of bonds on the open market. Assume that the RR is 10%. Banks keep no excess reserves. That doesn't mean that they never keep excess reserves. That just means currently at the beginning of the question, there is nothing in excess reserves. There is no cash leakages. Banks have made all adjustments, reserves, demand deposits, and loans will increase by with the following. What? Okay, bank buys bonds. The central bank buys bonds. Okay. Bonds. Right. Okay.
Is her hair gonna like this tomorrow? Like with the little.
Adjustments. Not this question though.
Okay.
But the central bank buys
Will it be
$100 worth
simpler?
of bonds. Assume that the RR is 10%. Why would demand deposits change?
Yeah.
10% of 1,000 is 100, and then you have 900 for loans because there's no excess reserves.
But it says they're only putting in 100, right?
No
it
excess
says
reserves
they
at
buy
the time,
$100.
it will still be.
Oh, after the banks have made all adjustments. That means after the money multiplier has had an effect and time has passed. Bad question.
That's what we need to know.
I don't like that question. Okay.
Okay. Skip.
Next.
Next.
Answer 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. So,
Just void that.
no, it says liabilities.
We'll keep
They
going.
buy bonds. Okay. Here's bonds. There's 100. That's 100. There's 100. That blue. Required reserves, excess reserves. Okay. I buy bonds. Bonds is now 0. I give you $100. All of that $100 because it's a bond goes into excess reserves. Total reserves just went up by 100. It doesn't matter what was in here before because it just says reserves. So the total reserves went up by 100 because that was the money that they received from the bond. Okay. All that money loaned out times 10%, which is the money multiplier, will be loaned out. Those people will take that $1,000, which was the 100 times 10, and they will deposit it into their bank later on, many years down the road. And if they deposit it in the bank and they have to keep 10% of this amount of money in the bank at all times, that means they can loan out eventually, way far down the line, $900.
I
I'm a
see
big
why
cynical to that.
JC started.
I see why Jason started crying too. That gave me a little bit of a headache.
visceral reaction.
Yes. Stop. A reduction of money supply will reduce aggregate demand.
Alexis.
I like these easy
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah. Well, like, oh, look how little words there are. Okay.
I just like accurate.
Oh, shoot. Go home.
No.
Yes.
Next, David.
My poor son is going to be like,